If you ride Orion today, it's hard to imagine what used to be there. A giant blue coaster dominates the skyline. Guests rush towards Flight of Fear, and the antique autos quietly wind through the trees. And most people have no idea they're riding through what was once the strangest attraction in Kings Island history. Because for 7 years, hidden behind the racer, there was an entire prehistoric world. A world filled with roaring dinosaurs, fossil digs, a dinosaur movie, a giant gift shop, and more than 60 animatronic creatures spread throughout the woods. But before the attraction ever opened, one of the dinosaurs caught fire. This is the story of Dinosaurs Alive.
Long before coasters, dinosaurs ruled Kings Island. Now they're back, and they haven't eaten in a very long time. New Dinosaurs Alive. With the most animatronic dinosaurs on Earth, it's the dawn of a new era of thrills. New Dinosaurs Alive at Kings Island. The biggest thing in 65 million years.
To understand Dinosaurs Alive, you have to go back to the late 2000s. At the time, theme parks were obsessed with finding new experiences that weren't roller coasters. Families wanted attractions they could enjoy together. Parks wanted experiences that appealed to younger guests, and dinosaurs were everywhere. Museum exhibits were drawing huge crowds, traveling dinosaur shows were touring the country. Kids simply could not get enough of them, so Cedar Fair decided to do something ambitious. They weren't going to build another ride. They were going to build an entire prehistoric world, and Kings Island would be the first park to get it. The location was perfect. Behind Coney Mall sat acres of wooded land. Most guests barely noticed it. They'd ride the racer and catch a glimpse of the trees stretching into the distance. What they didn't know was that those woods were about to become the home to dozens of dinosaurs. Construction began in early 2011. Crews transformed the area into winding pathways that would take guests deep into the prehistoric forest. Massive animatronic dinosaurs arrived, educational exhibits were installed, signs went up, the gift shop was stocked, everything was ready. And then just days before opening, disaster struck. On May 24, 2011, smoke suddenly began rising from the attraction. One of the dinosaurs had caught fire.
Good evening. Quite a scare at Kings Island tonight.
People inside the park and those driving by on I-71 saw this thick smoke. One of the dinosaurs for a new exhibit caught fire around 8:40 tonight. These are viewer-submitted photos. The dinosaur structure was still under construction. No one was hurt. Investigators aren't sure how the fire started. Kings Island says despite what happened tonight, Dinosaurs Alive will open as scheduled this Thursday.
Think about that for a second. A dinosaur attraction that hadn't even opened yet, and one of the dinosaurs had already gone extinct. Photos spread across the internet. Guests wondered if the opening would be delayed. Fortunately, firefighters quickly brought the blaze under control. No one was hurt, and damage was limited. Amazingly, Kings Island still opened the attraction just 2 days later. When guests first entered Dinosaurs Alive, they stepped into something that was completely different from the rest of Kings Island. The sound of roller coasters slowly disappeared. The music from Coney Mall faded into the background. The deeper you walked into the woods, the more it felt like you had left an amusement park behind. Ahead of you stretched a trail through dense forest. And somewhere in those trees, dinosaurs were waiting. Around every bend stood another creature. Some were small, others towered overhead. Many moved, heads turned, eyes blinked, tails swayed. Roars echoed through the woods. For younger guests, it was incredible. This wasn't looking at dinosaurs in a book. These creatures stood right in front of you. The star of the attraction was, of course, the T-Rex. Towering above guests, this giant predator quickly became one of the most photographed dinosaurs in the park. Kids stared in amazement. Parents snapped photos. And everyone stopped for a moment to imagine what it would have been like to live with these creatures. The attraction wasn't just about looking at dinosaurs, it was designed to teach guests about them as well. Throughout the trail were educational exhibits explaining how dinosaurs lived, how they hunted, how they defended themselves, and how scientists continue to learn more about them through fossil discoveries. It was part theme park attraction and part outdoor museum. And then there was the fossil dig. If you visited Dinosaurs Alive as a kid, this is probably the part you remember the most. Children could dig through the sand searching for fossils. For a few minutes, they became paleontologists, uncovering prehistoric discoveries. While adults continued down the trail, many kids could have stayed here all day. It was simple, but it worked. And the dinosaur experience didn't stop at the trail. Nearby stood Action Theater. For years, Action Theater had been home to simulator rides and movies. Now it became part of the dinosaur experience. guests could watch a 3D dinosaur movie on a giant screen. The film transported visitors into the past, showcasing some of the largest creatures to ever walk the earth. Then, after the movie ended, guests could walk outside and continue their adventure among life-size dinosaurs. For a brief time, the entire area felt like its own dinosaur-themed land inside Kings Island. And of course, every great attraction ends in a gift shop. The dinosaur became the final stop before guests returned to the modern world. Inside, the shelves were packed with dinosaur merchandise, stuffed animals, toys, books, posters, t-shirts, fossil replicas, candy, and collectibles. If you were a kid, leaving empty-handed was nearly impossible. For parents, it was one final challenge after already paying theme park admission and for the attraction itself. And that brings us to what may have been Dinosaurs Alive's biggest problem. It cost extra. Unlike most Kings Island attractions, Dinosaurs Alive required an additional ticket. You could spend all day riding the Beast, Diamondback, and the Racer, but if you wanted to see the dinosaurs, you had to pay more. For some families, it was worth it. For others, it wasn't. And over time, that became a problem. The first visit was exciting. The second was fun. But after you walked the trail a few times, many guests chose to spend their day riding roller coasters instead. Meanwhile, the dinosaur craze that helped inspire the attraction was beginning to fade. Attendance slowed, interest declined, and Cedar Fair began looking at the large amount of land occupied by the attraction, and then came the announcement. After the 2017 season, Dinosaurs Alive would close. Quietly, and without much fanfare, the dinosaurs were removed, the pathway was abandoned, the gift shop closed, and the roars disappeared. For a brief period, parts of the attraction found new life during Halloween Haunt, but the days of Dinosaurs Alive were over. Soon, another large project would take over the land, one far larger than any dinosaur, Orion. Construction crews moved in, the landscape changed, and one of Kings Island's most unusual attractions became a memory. Today, millions of guests ride Orion without realizing what once stood there. They don't know about the roaring dinosaurs hidden in the woods. They don't remember digging for fossils. They never watched the dinosaur movie next door before entering a prehistoric forest. And many have no idea one of the dinosaurs caught fire literally days before the attraction even opened. But for those who experienced it, Dinosaurs Alive remains one of the most unique chapters in Kings Island history. Not because it was a roller coaster, not because it broke tons of records, but because it was different. It was ambitious, it was educational, and most of all, it was weird. And for 7 years, it transformed a quiet patch of woods behind the racer into the Lost World, a world where dinosaurs once ruled Kings Island. So let me know in the comments, did you ever visit Dinosaurs Alive? And do you think Kings Island made the right decision by letting the dinosaurs go extinct?